Hi, I'm so glad to be back. Here we all are from all over the world, gathered again. So, what's been bugging me, and I'm sure a lot of you, is what is wrong with these Republicans that they are allowing the country to be dismantled on their watch? Surely some of them are concerned. So, I thought I'd do a couple of mini readings around this issue. Okay, so the first mini reading is apparently, and I'm sure you've seen this too, behind the scenes it's a different story. Behind the scenes they are apparently chatting a lot more about the problem with this president. Well, so let's have a little look behind the scenes, shall we? So, what's happening for Republicans behind the scenes with Trump? Republicans behind the scenes. What is happening? All right. Come on down, viewers. So, oh, 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 ah, oh, ah. Okay, their first card should be radiance, light, joy, and success. The sun. Well, what would make me question that interpretation? That would be the next three cards. Trump Tower in free fall, the chaos, the madness, the corruption, the filth, the complete ineptitude. They are crashing and burning. This is behind the scenes. This is very interesting. Going away, well, yes, there's been an unprecedented number of Republicans announcing they're not returning to office. Dozens. I think they're up to about 40 now. It's really unprecedented. And I think this represents Republicans who are not going to run again, but also you'd have to think it's people moving away from the Republican Party because of this president. I'm surprised this is so cut and dried, actually. And the Ten of Swords. So they're stabbing each other in the back. So that takes the form of, yeah, I'll back you on this thing, and then not doing it, or just bad-mouthing people behind their backs. So I must do another reading on the White House itself too. I'll do that shortly. So these three cards, the Tower, the Six of Swords, moving away after a battle and after defeat in order to save yourself and your sanity, that sort of moving away. And the Ten of Swords means that they're being watched. The sun is shining light. They are being watched doing this. Goodness gracious me. One more. Ooh. Broken hearts, disappointed in themselves, being hurt, being let down. Ooh. Very interesting. I would have thought that would be more obvious in, if you're looking at it from a purely democratic perspective, etc. But behind the scenes, God, they're worried. That's something. They're really worried. Jesus. So, what does this mean? So, the next question. What's the next question going to be? Will they break ranks with Trump for the midterms? Okay. By that, obviously not all of them. He's going to have his Devon Nuneses and people. And Mitch McConnell, who I'm beginning to think, although he has the face of an aged choir boy, is more the embodiment of evil, because it's those people who know what they're doing's wrong and then still doing it, I think are worse than those who are just shallow grafting people. So are they going to move away before the midterms? So we're talking, are significant numbers going to move away before the midterms? Okay. Okay. Well, what we have here in answer to that question, will there be enough, a body of Republicans moving away from Trump? They're conflicted. And as we know from this, it's fighting themselves. So there's huge bitching and infighting, perhaps more than we realise, because it's easy to roll your eyes and go, oh, they're hopeless sellouts, but it is more complicated than that. They are fighting amongst themselves, because even if Trump wasn't as mad and bad as he is, the centrist Republicans have had to deal with the Tea Party leftovers and those really conservative wackos. So there was enough tension and conflict and enough pulling down of the energy of the Republican Party, and there was enough division apart from Trump. But you put Trump in the mix, their glorious leader, and you end up with this round robin of conflict with no one coming out as a clear winner. So they feel their hands are tied, which would mean, to me, in the context of this, they're stuck with him, their hands are tied with him. However, there is the Ace of Swords, which is a cutting through the shit card. It is a cutting through to the truth card. So you have this underneath the conflict. So underneath the conflict, there are people going, we must stand up for the institutions, and there are a handful doing this. There are also a handful who are fighting for the dreamers. So there's some decent people in there fighting for the truth. And they will have a celebration of sorts, a coming together of sorts. So it won't be quite what they want. No particular faction will be happy, but they'll come to some sort of agreement. Let me just pull out some more. And that will give them momentum going into the midterms, unfortunately, as I see it. So they will put a face on it. So what have we got? We've got conflict behind the scenes. We've got a real attempt in the short-term future, it hasn't happened yet, to get their act together. And they will roll with that into the midterms. So they'll be a bit more together. What I want to know now is there an issue that they can rally around? So in other words, what's going to be the Republican flagship for the next few months going into the midterms? So is there an issue they can rally around? What is the issue they'll rally around? What issue? The single issue. Here we go. Oh, we get the Chariot again. Hopes and wishes, Queen of Swords, Queen of Cups. An emotional issue. All right. They just finished their last mini reading with the Chariot. Now they've got the Chariot as their header. So that is that momentum continuing. They have the Nine of Cups. So this is fulfilling dreams and wishes. So they're going to be promising the electorate the world. They're going to be promising the electorate that times are good, things are great, everything's happening. Where for you? Until you go to the gas station. They've got in here the Queen of Swords. So this could be a spoke in the wheel, in the sense this is very much, I always think, a justice card. But the Queen of Swords could be a Republican woman who comes to become the face of the Republican Party. Or it could be a judicial figure which throws a spanner in their work. It turns out, I said months ago, certain women in the judiciary are going to be really important, and this is coming out. More and more of these cases are being heard by women. It's interesting. But why I think it's an actual woman too is the Queen of Cups, or the Lady Diana card, as I sometimes refer to it. So there's almost a mother energy coming out in this. They're going to be pulling an emotional card. They normally go for the finance angle, where the grown-ups with money, so not. But that's the narrative and they stick to it. They're going to go for something more emotional, which is a real worry. Probably the American family. Oh, but this is foolish. This is not smart for them to go with this. So what this is saying to me is they're not going to run on the economy, which is their traditional space. They're going to go for all the emotional things, you know, dreadful immigrants who are out to rape your daughters and take your jobs, or it could be that really negative, emotional, racist crap. Just because it's emotional and female doesn't make it good. It could be that sort of energy. And it could be also the American family in the straight Anglo mum, dad and 2 kids type sort of representation of American life. But at best, only 25% of people are living. That's another story. And this could bring them undone. It's very likely to bring them undone. So, although we hear, or we will hear in the future too, how marvellous the tax breaks are for the American economy and the American workers, that's not going to fly. People simply aren't going to believe it. All right, so let me just do another little one on the Republicans before we move on. So, what's my last question? My last question is the balance of power after the midterms. Depending what happens, I'll be doing more readings on this because it's such a volatile and changing space. You have to have up-to-date readings on the midterms. But this question is more, where will they be? Where will they be on the other side of the power plays? Because we know they're on the wrong side of history. So where will they be in terms of the power plays in the next few months? What are the powerful characters? What's happening here? They get the fool again. Okay. In relation to the power of the grand old party, it's not that powerful at the moment. It's in retreat, in the sense, remember in the other mini reading, it was about the conflict. So what's really happening is the conflict. But what they're presenting to the outside world in the next few months is that we're really seriously considering these matters, meaning I'm going to stab you and everyone else in the back. But this is the face of it. Page of Wands, the Speaker. This could well be Ryan, the Speaker of the House. So I'm thinking it's Ryan. He's being described more and more as a lame duck. He stupidly announced his retirement and thought he could have the best of both worlds. He thought he could announce his retirement and do all the things he's wanted to do, like take the food out of the mouths of children and get everyone off Medicare and make an exit. But he's being described as a lame duck. So I think that's the Speaker. I think it's Ryan, who is also looking like a fool. People are also not fooled by this retreat shit that they're going to pretend to be doing. They're not in retreat, they're wheeling and dealing like maniacs, and they're very worried. They're very worried and they're very disappointed. So this is the card of disappointment. There's still a couple of cups of emotion upright, but most have fallen down. So remember, as I just said, they're going to run on an emotional issue and it's going to lead to disappointment. So the power plays are going to end in this decision to try and not emphasise the stupid tax cuts that can't be paid for. That was a foolish, unnecessary position in the first place. And they're going to be disappointed. Well, there you go, Republicans. I have no sympathy whatsoever. So, intrepid viewers, I am back. I'm going to upload this and I'm going to do another reading for you right now. So it'll be hot on the heels. So I'm making up for lost time. Moi from Australia. Bye.